Welcome back, folks. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. Today I'm going to be talking about Boston Scott as part of our player series here. We're going to be talking about the running backs, Boston Scott in this video. The next video will either be Zach Evans or Ronnie Rivers, and then after that will be whoever I have next. So then we'll move into wide receivers and just keep this thing going. Before we dive into it, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Also, be sure to follow me on all social media at JKBogan, especially Instagram, if you want some behind the scenes with my life. Because, again, that's something that comes up a lot. People ask, hey, what do you do when you're not doing this? Well, check out Instagram and you'll find out. So, Boston Scott is somebody that I've liked a long time. Obviously, he's been around for a long time. Now he's 29 years old. He started in the league when he was 23, was in the 2018 draft class, drafted by the New Orleans Saints. And this is somebody at, Louisiana Tech. I remember actually watching his film back in the day. Really intriguing player here because he has a few teams that he goes up against and absolutely just destroys. And, it's always been kind of funny because as somebody that, would play some sports bets here and there, putting one on Boston Scott anytime touchdown was something that I did quite often. And it panned out a decent amount of the time. 5'6", 203, more filled out, doesn't look like necessarily like a Dree Archer build. Like Tutu Atwell. So I know he's 5'6", but he's filled out. He can break tackles. He has muscle there. I think the thing that it really comes down to with Boston Scott is, he played his entire career in Philly. And, this is somebody that had 16 rushing touchdowns. You don't really think about it, but he had 16 rushing touchdowns. He actually found pay dirt quite a bit, including in 2021 where he had 7. So immediately, my first thought when they got Boston Scott was this guy's the fastest running back in their stable right now, which is really cool. So love that. He has the pass catching ability that you also want to see, although it wasn't really utilized the last few years. But back in 2019 and 2020, when he first started with the Eagles, actually playing and everything, he caught over 40 passes in those 2 seasons for over 400 yards total. So we saw kind of a glimpse of what he can do with the ball in his hands, 7.8 yards per target in 2019. However, he hasn't really quite been utilized in that regard since. The thing about Boston Scott here, it's very simple. The Rams have a guy that can help in the running back room, can find the end zone. So you have guys that have noses for the end zone. You look at Kyron Williams, right? We talk about the touchdowns last year. I mean, Blake Corum has had over 40 in the last 2 seasons alone, right? Obviously in college. But these guys have a nose for the end zone. They punch it in. Well, Boston Scott has also done that, although he did not have a rushing touchdown last year. The year prior he had 3, and then he had 7 the year before that. So this is somebody that can do that. However, the Rams brought him in for one thing. Everything else is gravy. But if he does this one thing, he can really excel. And you know what that is? He actually was brought in to be the return guy. Okay? Simply put, this is a returning, a return specialist who has the ability to offer some stuff, as a running back, as a pass catcher, all of that. But his return ability, and mainly kick returns, he's been really effective. Okay, he's never had a touchdown, which isn't really a big deal. 66 returns for 1,500 plus yards. That's a 22.8 yards per return. Now, let me make this very clear. Lately, Boston Scott hasn't been the guy that he was back in 2020 return-wise when he had 590 yards. 2022, he averaged 27.1 yards per return. And then last year, he averaged 21.3, which was one of the lowest of his career. Now, the reason why he became an interesting option for the Rams is because lately, everyone is talking. There is a buzz going on about kick returners' value now with the changed rules. So think about it like this. If you've ever played freeze tag, right? The way it works with the return rules is once the ball is kicked in the air, there's no running. They have to wait until the return man receives the ball. Once he catches the kickoff, everyone can run. But there's no running. It's for player safety. I think it's also to add some, inject some energy and life into the kickoff game. And of course, they're trying to avoid, because people always thought that they were trying to do away with kickoffs. They're actually trying to avoid touchbacks, where they're actually helping you out, essentially. If you're going to want to have them kick it, it's like almost incentivized. So the way I've already done a video on it and everything, but Boston Scott's, his explosion, his overall athleticism, he was good with the regular kickoff return rules. But now with these kickoff return rules, there's a reason why, for instance, the Pittsburgh Steelers went out and got Cordell Patterson, right? These guys have renewed value on a whole other level because of these changes. And you might scoff at it and say, this is a return guy. Really, Jake? You're going to go crazy over a return guy? Hear me out. Boston Scott is not easy to bring down. He's slippery in space. He's got some weight behind his pads. He can run through arm tackles, but he's also blazing fast, okay? So it's not easy to bring a guy like that down when you have the normal kickoff rules. But now that you have these kickoff rules, you're giving him an extra step or two, or however many steps. It's not going to be easy because, and I think this could be a problem for the NFL. We could start to see way more volume in the kickoff game. And yes, in a sense, that might sound exciting, but there's a chance there'll be like less offense, and the yards might go down and all that. So that's certainly possible, but they changed the rules. So the Rams would be stupid, and any team would be stupid not to go after a guy like Boston Scott, who has the overall athleticism to take advantage of the increased flexibility of these rules for the returner. This is in favor for the returner, okay? You can say this is player safety all you want. It's not just player safety, if it is at all. If it was player safety, they would just take the whole damn play out of the game. You really can't, because these guys have to make a living one way or another, the special teamers, so that's not really an option. But this is to spice up the game some more. This is to add interest in the kickoff. Do you know how many people, I'm not one of them, but do you know how many people tell me they don't even watch the kickoff? They go and they do something, they come back, okay, now they're on the field, now they're playing. No one really, the kickoff has been pushed, people have wanted it gone because all these different rules. So Scott, I think, can really reap the rewards of these rule changes, and I'm really excited to see it. Now, is he going to be a punt returner? He only had 6 returns in his entire career for 43 yards back in 2019. Hasn't returned anything since. I don't know. He could be. He very well could be, but I don't know how that's going to work out. However, they got him to be a very good plus option in that running back room because he could be RB3. Keep that in mind. Kind of, a change of pace guy, more blazing fast than the others. But he was brought in to be the kick returner. And I think the Rams made a nice decision there. I think it's a necessary decision. You are trying, it's like stealing bases in baseball. You're trying to get guys and runners in scoring position. When you get runners into scoring position, it makes it easier with the guy at the plate to knock them in, right? Well, the same thing applies here in the kickoff because you're essentially setting up the offense. If you set them up at an average field position of over 30 yards, like Pharaoh Cooper did, by the way, who just retired. Congratulations on his career. But Pharaoh Cooper, back in 2017, would set the Rams up at the average, I believe it was the 30-yard line. Instead of the touchback giving you 20 back in the day, because I know it got changed to 25, whatever, he was getting them to the 30. So it was a shorter field for one of the most explosive offenses in all of football. So think about that. Made it easier, right? Now, you talk about this offense. You talk about Matthew Stafford and Kyron Williams and Blake Corum and hell, include Boston Scott and all the receivers from Kupp and Puka Nacua and Whittington and Atwell and Demarcus Robinson and Davis Allen and Colby Parkinson and Higbee when he comes back. And you think of all these guys and you think about how explosive this offense can be, how good the offensive line is. And now you add Boston Scott to the mix here, okay? You have Boston Scott, and say he is improving the starting field position average by 5 yards. What difference can that make? A huge one, okay? So that matters. That's something that I'm definitely, keeping an eye on. And, last year, the team started at their own 28.6 yard line, okay? That was the average drive starter. Now, there's a lot of fair catches, okay? Austin Trammell, fair catch in the end zone because of the rules last year. You could fair catch it at the 10-yard line. You're going to the 25. So keep that in mind. Against the Rams, 29.6 yard line, okay? In 2022, the Rams had an average distance when they started, a field position of 26.6 to, give you an idea. So once again, the Rams, 26.6. This past year, they went up by 2 yards, okay? You go to 2021, the year they won the Super Bowl, average 28-yard line, right? 2020, talk about that, 27.9. You start 2019 at 28.3. So typically speaking, they've had good field position for the most part, but not quite how it used to be. 2018, 30.4, and 2017, 32.9, with Pharoh Cooper being a Pro Bowl and an absolute dominant returner. Regardless of what anyone says about his playoff woes and all of that, he was fantastic. To start at the 32.9 yard line on average every time you're going out there, for your field position, everything, your first drive of the game, and you're first in scoring, you're first in yards, anytime you're doing that and you're already going out there at the 32, almost 33 yard line, how easy is it? I mean, think about it. In 2017, Jared Goff would hit Robert Woods or Sammy Watkins or Cooper Kupp on a slant, like a quick slant. And now, just from the little bit of run after the catch and the first down, they're at midfield, one play. That's how important returning is. So I think that is the rationale behind Boston Scott. We haven't seen the Rams be in the 30s average field position since 2018, and 32.9 is absolutely bonkers. That is a huge number. That is crazy. That happened with Pharoh Cooper in 2017, and that was a big reason why the Rams were so successful and had, so much ease mowing down the field, being able to score the way they did. And it's an underrated element. But now, keep in mind, that was with the old rules. Now you have the new rules, and you have a team that's already around the 28-yard line. If they could get that in the 30s, say the 32.9 again, they're going to be cooking. Other teams are also going to do this. So it's not necessarily an advantage. You also have to understand that other teams are going to have success doing this. Other teams could have better returners than you. And if you do nothing, if teams don't take this, rule change seriously and they don't have an emphasis on the kickoff, they're foolish, because teams that they're going to play are going to take it seriously. The best teams in the league this year will be the teams that take every single aspect of football seriously, including the kickoff and all the rule changes. You put that all into the equation. You put that all together, and you're likely going to come away with one of the better football teams in the league. If you're not doing that, if you're leaving that on the field, you're leaving yards on the field, which could ultimately leave you points on the field, and you don't want to be doing that. So the Rams, they got ahead of that. They saw this is the rule change. Sean McVay obviously was in the competition committee, so he had an idea this was coming, and you're able to plan accordingly. I like the pickup of Boston Scott. Don't expect him to be the starting running back or even the backup. I think that's 100% going to be Blake Corum, but do not be surprised if he takes over Zach Evans, takes over Ronnie Rivers and takes over the third job. He is the veteran in this room, okay? So adding a veteran into the room, 29 years old, knows what it takes to win, was on those Eagles teams. He's seen it, right? Because he's seen it, he has the advantage. So I'm excited to see that. And I like Boston Scott a lot. So, end of the day, the reality is the Rams have a very good player for a role that they needed to fill. And we're about to see him have his best year, in my opinion, as a returner. Which, again, we're going to see a lot of guys doing that because of the new rules. But it's better to be on top of things than watch everyone be on top of it while you're not on top of it, because those are the teams you're going to lose to. So those are my thoughts. A little bit longer. My 2024, preview for Boston Scott is that he's going to have a lot of use in the kickoff game, and I think he'll be RB3. Let me know in the comments section what you think about Boston Scott. Did you like this move? I loved it when they made it. That's all I got for you guys. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, folks. Later. Do you love talking about the Rams, the NFL, or just want to be a part of a community? Join my free Discord server today. We're over 800 members. We got 24/7 live chat, a level 3 boosted server, the ability to call into JE Live, playing online games with us on Kick streams, toggleable alerts for when I go live on YouTube or Kick so you don't miss a live stream, and exclusive giveaways. Click the link in the description, the comments section, or the link that comes up in the video to learn more and join today.